Welcome back, everybody. Okay. There's no new game plus. Do we skip unseen text? Wait, no, we don't skip unseen text. What the hell? It's really cool, but you got drunk and it got dark and you cried. That's really funny. I'm sorry. Welcome back, Cassidy. Welcome back, Isa. Welcome back, Arrow. Welcome back, Fractal. It's 2 weeks. Our coursework deadline. Time to start this report on... What is it even on? Blue Hill County Cultural Exports, 1800 to 1900. There's one of the books later on that you have a chance to read is that one. But I completely forgot what even her paper is supposed to be about. Button stared at the brief for about 10 minutes. And we're slacking, it's time to get to work. I literally just asked if we should skip things that we'd already seen. And Cass said yes, and I agree. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Have you ever played Papers, Please? I haven't. But Sinzu has. I've seen like little bits and pieces. And I've played, I haven't actually played similar games. I played like 1 or 2 similar games. They stress me out. Although, also from the No Ice in Minnesota bundle. You shouldn't skip. The narration text can change a lot depending on what happens. Okay, yeah, I hear you. Even little things. This one I'm pretty sure was safe because this is the first choice that appears. I was hoping... that the skip settings would not skip those things. This one was definitely safe though, because this is literally the first choice. We'll definitely glaze. Welcome back, Sybil. And welcome back, Banana. Really like work games? I like a work game. It's the choices that tense me up. You think Grinpy usually has a setting for don't skip unseen text? Yes. That is in here. Okay, so... because of the way it's formatted, though, we have no context for the choice. We just met Parsnip, the friendly rabbit, who wants us to have his sugared friendship string. We kept it. So the first time you're gonna utterly coat Sybil if someone was glazing you. Okay, Sybil, you are so sweet and so funny. And I always get a little bit excited when I see you around. And I think you're really cool. That is a thing. On the website, they tell you that the narration is unreliable and can change. Confused, we took the string out of the rabbit's paw and held it up for a closer look. Looked just as bad up close. Something about the string and its strange creator felt deeply wrong. I shook my head slightly. I was being silly. The string was harmless. I tucked the string away into my bag. Wait, you're glazing me? That means this is insincere. Wait, does it? I didn't know that. I just thought it meant it was excessive. If you're looking for glazing, I think there's a baker in this game. There is! We did their path last time. Right. It's actually that unreliable narration system. Last time, I was trying to make responsible choices to steer clear of unnecessary, horrible consequences. So I think this time, if something's weird, we should poke it. Tell me you were sincere, I'll cry. I meant everything I said, I promise. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna cry for me? Because I think you're cool and interesting? No, you're obviously biased, but you really like the art in this game, actually. I do too. You're gonna cry now? You're welcome. Your game breaking? Aw, I'm sorry. You're not cute when you cry? I don't know, I believe Banana. She knows things about cute. Sorry. He dropped a pot at the nearest cottage, the one with the well-kept daffodil patch in front of it. A small sign with "My Cottage" written on it stood on the path next to it, clearly marking the cottage as someone's cottage. Sorry, cottage. It was just the one time. Everything is the same so far. Last time, we tried to distract him. I'm sorry, the music is honestly hitting me just a little bit. You should be working? Aw. I hope it's a pleasant work experience. Aw. Just wanted to chime in about narrator mode. Wait, about narrator mode? You mean the narrator? You mean the narration? I love your brain so much. It's like Play-Doh. It's so wonderful. Don't be sorry. You're beautiful. No, I love your brain. Parsnip. I don't read books. They're so boring. I'm Parsnip and I'm a fun bun. He so is. Do you want to come play with him? We tried to distract him before. So since we're... Oh, I was gonna say yes, because we're trying to engage with oddities. You're a fun bun. You're such... You put Parsnip to shame. You're a much more fun bun. You're a bun that's so much fun. Banana brain is so squishy and precious. You want to play with it. You want to play in it like a ball pit. Oh my gosh, me too. I am. It's actually a great time. Cute bun too, very much. I said definitely not. I'm going to just destroy this rabbit. No, I definitely don't. Sorry. I have to find that play for my friend, remember? And I'm super busy with coursework, so... Wow, that sounds really exciting. You're like a detective. It makes no difference. You're going to destroy this rabbit? You too? He's indestructible. Oh, cool. That's amazing. Before I could begin to formulate a response to Parsnip, the sound of a cuckoo clock blared from inside his cottage. It was loud, even from a good 50 foot away. Uh-oh, it's time for trumpet practice. I'll talk to you later, my new friends. And he's off. He merely skipped off to his cottage. Okay, bye. Crossed Parsnip off my list of potential owners of the forbidden play. To catch people up, by the way, because we skipped the introduction. Our friend, in quotes, Nikita, has threatened us into hunting down a play because she basically did our previous assignments to keep us in college. Get him. Let's destroy this rabbit together. Fun group activity. I love destroying rabbits as a group. We're meeting La Rose, the artist. We can relate. We drew a picture once. Hi, Cass. So much fun. Bunny bash party. I'm mildly afraid to skip now. Because we have technically made one different choice. I'm gonna do it anyway. This whole chat cute. This whole chat's extremely cute. I feel extremely lucky to be here. Is he that bad? I mean, he's a little excitable for sure, but La Rose's blood pressure looked like it was rising rapidly. Let's ask about Parsnip. Because before we got back on topic, what's the issue with Parsnip? He isn't like that all the time, right? He moved in like a month ago, and there hasn't been a day since that I haven't considered torching his cottage. She downed half a wine bottle in about 5 seconds. I was impressed. He seems to know the exact best way to piss me off in any given situation. And I mean, he broke into my house a few weeks back while I was in the shower. All he did was steal some candles, but geez. He's a real weirdo. That bottle clearly still has more than a half left. He finished it off and grabbed another one. You're in chat too, so don't forget yourself. Oh my gosh, I get to be part of this wonderful chat. Thank you. I don't believe in police though, so if he tries that shit again, I'll just get my old cricket back out and launch him into the woods like a ball. She finished her wine and reached for another bottle. Yeah, every time she appears on screen again, it's a new bottle of wine. So yeah, I fucking hate Parsnip. We've been over this. Yeah, but I can never remember the result. You're so fucking cute. I knew that part. But you're not, chat. Damn it. Sorry. Whenever I see you talking, it's like you and I are the only ones there. I'm sorry I stole your civil compliment for myself. The burglary definitely put a bit of a damper on my opinion of Parsnip. Still, I hope maybe La Rose was exaggerating. He didn't seem quite that bad when I had spoken to him. Well, that's weird. Anyway, sorry, the book. You haven't seen it? Who's chat anyways? Allie's so greedy, but she deserves it. Thank you. It's one of my tyrannical traits. Allie's extremely cute and funny and pretty. There, thank you. So are you. She shook her head. I don't get out much, though. If it's around here, I probably wouldn't see it. I didn't even realize my neighbors were missing until the police came knocking. The squirrels, yeah. Didn't it turn out they just went on a cruise to the Pacific Islands because their wretching got bored? It was on the news for ages. No. I accidentally started the rumor that they just ran off during the school term. Probably true, they were rich. Rich people do that stuff, right? I don't think she was expecting an answer. Look, I was brainstorming, okay? It's not my fault the police just took that as a fact and ended the investigation immediately. I'm sure they're all fine. Police just dumped all the evidence they collected outside and left. A-cam, right? All cops are monsters? All cops are messy. Point is, you could poke around in the boxes if you want. They don't care. Maybe you'll find your book. Well, ask a little more about the area. We are so nosy this time. You like coming here and having a nice little cute time? Me too. It's wonderful having so many people around me that I can just, like, go and be normal around. All crime is Mossum. Legally, this is a joke. I don't often see Mossum around, but I like it. Is there anywhere else around here an old playbook might be hiding? There's the woods. They're pretty big. There's bound to be at least one book in there. Oh, we did ask this last time. She faked a big blow of smoke from her cigarette. Though I'd avoid them if I were you. They're dark, nasty, no one lives there anyway. Well, the Beehive, they're a bunch of authoritarian jackasses, so they don't really count. We did ask that before. Cyberbat Wildstar always used to say, space is where you make it. Peeks into Dema. Aw. Can't have Possum without Mossum. It's true. Oh, right. We learned that she teaches in town to preschoolers. They don't appreciate my art. It's so sad. Rose was right. The police had left their investigation unfinished and just ditched the evidence into a couple of boxes. Summer had been a dry one, and everything seemed to be in good condition. Straight through one of the cottage's windows, it was definitely deserted. It was probably a pretty nice place when it was looked after. Wasn't this supposed to be boarded up? No, it was another cottage that was boarded up. I'm gonna skip. Oh my gosh, we skipped so much. We've already found out that we need to get into the boarded up cottage. Last time we looked around the shop, and we looked at these toys that she had us put back. This time we'll peek through the door. What happened? We haven't seen her yet. There was a door behind the counter, slightly ajar. I guess it led to an office or something. Maybe the owner's in there? We'll peek through the door. Figured I'd peek through the door. The shopkeeper hadn't responded when I called. So I was worried they'd had an accident or something. Can we do Hyena Alley this time? We can! I leaned to the side a little, squinting to see into the dark room. My eyesight is really bad, so I just saw a slightly dark-looking room. Predictable. The door swung open. Ah! Hyena stepped through. She looked annoyed with my spying. Either her spots were dyed red or she was splattered in blood. I assume this must have been Heidi. Hyena? You do Hyena Alley every day? Hyena Bobina? Oh, lesbian. Ah. We don't know that. Mouse is cool too, though. Thank you. No. I agree with you. What are you peeping at, Missy? She seemed mad. This wasn't the fantastic customer service I'd expect from a shop, really? Not that I'm the one who complained about poor customer service. I'm not a cop. Oh, well, sorry. I thought you were dead, or like, dead or something? You didn't say anything when I called. It's literally Allie. The thing is, I feel like both of these are Allie. Uh-huh. I didn't hear you when you called. Fair enough. She seemed to have calmed down and leant on the counter. Welcome to Heidi's. How may I help you today? That only looked and sounded extremely forced. I saw the poster for crowbars. Could I get one? It was an exceptionally fake laugh. I was a little worried I was being mocked. Sorry, kid. I sold out a few hours ago. Unlucky. I'd overstocked. Typed an extra 3 zeros into the supplier's site. Ended up with 2,000 of the things. Had to start selling them off dirt cheap. Then the supplier just bought them all back. Guess they want to resell them. Still, made a good profit on it. Those suckers. She paused for a moment, doubt flashing across her face. She started counting on her fingers, her grin quickly turning into a frown. She recounted, then recounted again. Those fuckers. I made a 4,000-pound loss. Mr. Crowbar is fucking dead. She seemed to remember I was there. Anyway, you want a crowbar, right? What for? You don't look like the DIY type. No offense. I'm gonna read her because we're gonna end up spending a lot of time with her. 2,000 is 3 extra zeros. She wanted 2. You know, that's a good point. It's a little offensive, though admittedly very true. I need to break open a door. I realized that probably sounded pretty suspicious, so I tried to defuse the situation. I'm not a burglar, it's my door. Strange mix of resignation and confusion appeared on her face. You accidentally boarded up your own door? We did say this last time. We just admitted to crimes. This time we'll be evasive. I blame drunken student antics. Yeah. I boarded my bedroom door up last night while I was super drunk. I was mega high from snorting mind-altering substances, haha. It was lit. I have a lot of friends and we get drunk and do carpentry. I'm sure she'll appreciate you lying to her. I think I overdid it. Right. In fact, I think she had stopped caring. Heidi dashed to the door behind the counter and quickly reappeared with a crowbar. Yo, drunk carpentry? That's highly dangerous. That's the most dangerous thing they've suggested in this entire game. This is one of my personal crowbars, and I need my others, so if you somehow break it, don't come begging for a replacement. I don't offer warranties. Your mind was so altered. I would never alter my mind with a chemical substance. That's 15 pounds. I read through my pockets and realized I'd forgotten my wallet. All I had was about 3 pounds in coins and a Demon trading card, which was a little odd since I don't even collect those. My decision making was like so not great. I kind of forgot my money. You forgot you needed money to pay for things at shops? Yeah, I guess. Do you accept trading cards? She didn't look amused. She drummed her fingers on the counter for a moment. Okay, whatever. What if you owe me a favor? I hope this wasn't going to be a weird sex thing. It's not a weird sex thing. Don't make that face, pervert. I suddenly resented my naturally pervy face. See, I'm both. I wasn't thinking that. What was it you did want? Nothing crazy, just helping me sort some extra stock. Usually I have to do it myself, but 2 hands are better than 1, right? Wait, what's this emote? What one? I don't know how that got there. What is it called? I don't know anything about it. But I suddenly resented my naturally pervy face. I said that in character. Okay, there's a story there. Me and my partners were up late one night just talking about stuff. And it prompted me to search a certain term on the Better Twitch TV website to see if there were any related emotes. And there was one. And I was like, should I add it? And everyone demanded yes. Oh golly, thank you, Isa. I think so. I think one of us said Nodders and then responded with Nodders. And I was like, has this been done? And it was. And this is what it looks like. Of course, you'll have to sign an NDA. And by the way, this was like months ago that the Nodders have just been lying in wait for someone to discover. They must have been very fond of rope work, surely. Certainly. It was between that and a garlic knot. Must be a sailor. Of course, you'll have to sign an NDA. Or not. What do I care? I have a taser. Didn't sound very exciting, but I needed the crowbar, so I didn't have much choice. If anyone has a pervy face, it's Heidi, just saying. But people keep telling me, and by people I mean Cass, and me a little bit. He's telling me that I'm basically Heidi. I don't know about that. I'm not that aggressive. I like the aesthetic. I like the aesthetic and the sass, but I don't deal this well with confrontation. Okay, as long as it's just something small and legal. Another unconvincing laugh. I think it was supposed to sound friendly. I have the same face. You're telling me I have a pervy face. And I'm very aggressive. Sometimes I can be a little aggressive, I admit. Yeah, it's fine. It's small. It's legal. Did you just try to fake a reassuring laugh? Fuck off. It was real. Give me your number so I can get a hold of you. I gave her my number, hoping I wasn't about to end up crossing any borders with 5 kilos of counterfeit electronics hidden in my clothes. Because I knew it'd be too awkward to say no to that. Great. I'll give you a call when I need you. I prefer it to texting. Easier to shout. And don't try to get away for free. I have a taser. Put her hand out for a handshake. Guess she wanted to seal the deal. I almost shook it with my puny little arm. Sure, thanks for the crowbar. I guess I'll see you soon. At the shop, armed with a crowbar, reflecting on how I seem to operate entirely on a favor-based system these days. Oh well, I thought. It was cheap. I'm sorry. I'm skipping Greg. I need to look eyes upon them first, though. Look at them! You got your time to shine last time, Greg. Rig. It's iPad. But they like petty theft so much. Look eyes upon them. Yes. We asked for a donut. I wanted a donut, but somehow got hurt in my own confusion and messed up. Cake. I jabbed a finger meekly at a random cupcake. This is exactly what happened last time. Hey Greg, want to put an effigy in your oven? That's the best line I've ever heard. They have moths here? Any moths? No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think if there's a single non-mammal. I don't think there are. We all like petty theft. Well, I'm not going to admit to anything live on Twitch. Moths never. It's so sad. Put an effigy in alleys. I'd let you put an effigy in my oven anytime. A cheese bake, maybe? No, Greg, I don't want your cheese bake. Bella's amused at my inability to buy cakes. We've broken into the cottage. I briefly wondered what had driven her to leave here so fast, but I stopped myself from dwelling on it too hard. Wait, what do we see? We've stopped on text. Text has changed. Ugh. I went to all that trouble getting a crowbar when I could have just broken in here and got one for free. Tools looked old, but judging by their relative cleanliness, appeared to have been used recently. Next to it was a small dresser, and on top of that, a picture frame. I let the dust away from the photograph to reveal a woman, probably in her 40s. The photograph itself had that old-fashioned faded look, and her hair looked very 80s. I guess this lady must have lived here before abandoning the cottage. Doesn't look like she properly packed when she left, though. Even a load of her stuff seems to. That all I recognize. A rat jail. Feels your heart. Aww. You're such a rat thief. As long as you share it, it's fine. The thing does the blood stuff, Gurk. Oh yeah, the heart. That's what those are for, huh? She can steal mine. I don't need one, I'm just goo. Phantom rat. I've often wondered what had driven her to leave here so fast, but stopped myself from dwelling on it too hard. We didn't dwell on it at all last time. There was a loud groan from the upstairs, the settling of the cottage's timber frame, I told myself. Regardless, it gave me a scare. This place has me really on edge. Let's hurry this up. The bathroom window was broken, and one of the boards seemed to have fallen off. A black feather was snagged on one of the nails still left in the frame. The water tank that was probably meant to be above the toilet had fallen down, littering the floor with smashed ceramic shards and leaving a moldy, damp patch spreading from the toilet's gutted remains. You're taking my core? Wait, no, not the whole thing. My brain's in there. Go rub and stroke it constantly. I thought you just found the little gummy decoy heart that I swallowed for you to find. The bottom few inches of the bathtub were stained brown, as if it had been full of rancid water for some time before being emptied. The plug hole was matted with wool, almost like a spiderweb. It's nasty. What's wrong with this place? No wonder it smelled. I was cut off as the house groaned as if settling. Only then did I realize how weak the floors seemed to be in this room. The floor is so weak and feeble. I had no intention of falling through into whatever waited for me in the basement. I returned to the living room where I had first entered the house. I hadn't really looked around it when I first got here. It was totally trashed. The furniture was a mess. The floor was covered in junk, and some water appeared to drip down from the attic onto the sofa, which was coated in white mold. What looked like blood stained the floor and seeped into the musty sofa. It couldn't be more than a month or two old. Just like her arms and Banana. It's true. Hopefully someone just had a minor accident, which made them lose about 4 liters of blood. It's old, though. I'm sure any murderer who lived here would have left ages ago. The smell probably drove him off. I stepped a little further into the room and almost tripped over something. Video game cartridge? It didn't look as dusty or decrepit as the rest of the house, and definitely wasn't old enough to be from the previous owner. Some brown hairs and white wool blocked the pins, and the image printed on the front was scratched but still readable. Gunshoot 4. Nice. I really enjoyed Gunshoot 3. We decided to keep it this time. I left it on the floor before because why? Figured it wasn't much use lying around the cottage, so I decided to take it with me. Maybe I could wind down with it when I got back to my room. We'll take the definitely haunted cartridge back with us. White wool. The wool. Did you ever play Parsnip? On the ceiling, a small trapdoor led to the attic, but there didn't seem to be any way up to it. I only now noticed the harsh carvings had been dug into the wall and inlaid with golden paint. I keep saying this, a little bit of time has passed. Dozens of identical eyes had been watching me. I found myself drawn to them. The house suddenly shuddered and I almost collapsed. I regained my footing. Thankfully, the house had remained standing. I turned away from the drawings, deciding to avoid them for now. There didn't seem to be much more to see on the ground floor, and I still hadn't found that book. There's only one thing for it. I'd have to go into the dark, dingy basement. I forced the door open on its rusted hinges and made my way down the stone stairs. The decaying air grew worse with each step. Better not take long. The air in here is probably cutting years off my life. Stairs emerged into a large basement, almost as big as the entire ground floor. My eyes were immediately drawn to the horrific scene at the center of the room. What is this? Two skulls were positioned around the chipped remains of some kind of symbol etched in the floor. I better look around quickly. I really don't want to stay here much longer. After closer examination, it was clear the skulls belonged to a pair of squirrels. So much for LaRosa's Pacific Cruise theory. He's supposed to seem adult-sized, though, which means the girl is missing. Hopefully I don't find her here. Skulls were undamaged, with no indication of how their owners may have died. Strangely, I don't recall having seen any other bones around the cottage. I decided to leave them to their rest, not that I'd be brave enough to do anything other than nervously stare at them from a distance anyway. With the most obvious thing in the room thoroughly examined, I took a look at the rest of the basement. This whole room looked like something from one of those trashy horror stories I'd read. It was uncanny. Part of me hoped this was just the setting of a really well-decorated LARP, but I felt pretty sure that was wishful thinking. The basement was littered with black and white feathers. It looked like a bird had been in a fight, but with who? Probably the most out-of-place thing in this murder basement was the small collection of dry cake crumbs scattered across the floor. Despite there only being a slither of cake left, I felt my stomach tighten. A deep and primal part of me knew it was a bad cake. I felt sick even looking at it, and I knew it wasn't the air. Oh, it's so jazzy suddenly. It was a wrong cake. Oh, this is new too. We didn't know how wrong the cake was last time, I think. I took a closer look at the symbol. It was etched into the stone with some kind of tool and gilded with golden paint. It was a very familiar, jazzy, rabbity kind of tune that played when we were looking at the cake. Pictured one of the eyes I'd seen painted upstairs. It was no less unnerving here, especially given the rest of the room. I blinked, and my mind returned full of fuzz. I knew something about the room was different. I just stared at the floor for what felt like hours, desperate not to see what might have changed. But eventually, I knew I had to be brave and looked up. The walls of the basement were blanketed in hundreds of yellow eyes. I could feel every single one burn into me, staring deep into my soul. My mind ached. I closed my eyes and counted to 10. With each increment, my mind fuzz grew louder and more erratic. When I opened my eyes, my mind fell quiet once more. The walls were blank. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. What's going on with this place? Can't breathe. I need to get outside. This gross air is messing with my head. I probably have like 5 terminal illnesses now. Okay, so I know so far it looks like I spent all week running errands and stuff, but trust me, I have my reasons, as I hope you will soon agree. This is where things get a little hard to recall, but I'll do my best in the interest of proving why I'm going to need a few weeks extra to finish my coursework. Thanks for reading this far, by the way. Faculty admin team, I appreciate it. Thanks. There was a loud screech, and the cottage above me started to shake and creak. I heard a long groan as the basement door shut. The cottage continued to shudder. I could hear furniture topple over and slam against the walls above me. I don't remember that bit. Me either! All the stuff upstairs, I don't remember. I remember it going like, oh, by the way, things start to get a little out there here, by the way. Haha. And then the skulls started flying around. You didn't realize until the end of the game this was all her asking for an excuse? Oh, yeah. All of this is asking for an extension on her paper. I need to get out of here. Or I could make a move. Whips of golden mist curled around the 2 skulls. They jerked around to face me before lifting off the ground as if pulled by puppet strings. A heart, nose, and eyelash skulls. You're so cute. I opened my eyes. I was in my bed. I briefly thought I was home with my parents and almost freaked out until my senses came to me. Wait, this is so different. They talked before, right? We woke up in the field, not at home. No eyelashes this time? They crumbled last time. They cracked, and I think that's where the eyelashes came from. That didn't happen this time. It's sad that she freaked out when she thought she was home. Where was I? Had I imagined the last day? I stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours before eventually glancing at my phone. It was 1 a.m. My limbs ached as if I'd run a marathon, and my head felt like it had been filled with popping candy. I rolled over, desperate to get comfortable. I yelped. Something hard and sharp had jabbed right into my spine. I felt around for the obstruction, and my hands fell into a large rectangular box. I pulled it up, and using my phone's light, I was able to make out what the object was. I was holding the king in yellow. I stared at the playbook. How had I gotten it? It was held shut by a golden ribbon, but it would only take a second to undo it. I started to reach for it, my fingers feeling the soft silk. I stared at the tome for some time. Its snakeskin cover felt strange against my fingers. Memories came flooding back. I remembered running through fields bathed in moonlight. I remembered waking up surrounded by sheep. I remembered the scream of a black and white bird. I remembered the two skulls speaking into my mind. Fuck of Carcosa and its ashen streets and terrible rotten spire. We will meet again, small white rat. We remembered this clearly last time. We got to see it and experience it, but this time it's all after the fact. More detail than that I couldn't recall. The last day was fuzzy, out of focus. All I knew was I had somehow come across the book I had been seeking. I was too tired to think this through right now. My head still felt like it was made of lead. I needed rest. I messaged Nikita and told her to meet me in the morning. She was still awake, presumably working on her campaign. She seemed pretty set on retrieving King in Yellow right then. But when I told her I wasn't going to get back out of bed, she begrudgingly agreed to wait. I shoved the play into my bag and turned my phone off, eventually settling into a disturbed sleep. Your perception is higher this time, but your inland empire might need a boost. Your inland empire? My dreams were dark and confused. I stood with Heidi in darkness. We didn't have a Heidi dream last time. Sorry. She stared ahead into the bleak emptiness. A hooded figure in a red cloak approached, their face hidden behind a white mask. They stood in front of us before reaching for their face, pulling the mask away to reveal myself. They smiled at me before crumpling to the floor as if thrown by some invisible force, their body twisted and broken. Where my doppelganger stood was a new figure, also cloaked. Underneath the hood was the face of a creature I couldn't describe. It was shrouded in darkness, but exuded wrongness. The figure's eyes seemed to glow yellow as they started to grin cruelly. The light of their eyes quickly drowned out the darkness. The scene collapsed into itself, and I stood in the abandoned basement. I saw myself as a skeleton, a golden glow surrounding me as I turned to dust and cackled maniacally. We saw this part. Inland Empire is a movie by David Lynch, but it's also a stat in Disco Elysium. That's difficult to explain. I see. You shared a screenshot last night that was clearly based on Disco Elysium. Oh. Was it an image with a series of options to the right? That is a game by this dev, also on Itch.io. And it's Lovely Lady RPG. And it looks extremely interesting and good. But oh, not that. The Lost Africa Process and Other Stories. That's just literally a PDF. That's just a collection of short stories set in the same universe. I will probably not be streaming Lovely Lady RPG. It came with a series of very sensitive topics that I don't like just putting out there. But it does look like an incredibly interesting game to play. But definitely worth knowing what you're getting into on a person-by-person basis. Again, just from the content warnings, I didn't actually play it yet. A horrible, dirty bird looked down at me from the top of a withered tree, branches like tangled thorns. It opened its beak to caw at me, but no sound came out. Did we mention a bird? We didn't. There was no horrible, dirty bird that has appeared in this story so far. Bird broke into wisps of cloud vapor and dissolved into the dark night. I looked down, and in my hands was the king in yellow. Wait. We had this dream, though. Bird's caw finally sounded, and I looked up. Where was once the tree was now a misty shoreline. You want to watch the Inland Empire just because of that, really? That's fair. In front of me was a spire of gleaming ivory, but before my eyes, I saw its rot and decay. Behind the terrible city rose a great moon. Mist dripped from it as it emerged from the lake of cloud. Black stars of the Hyades hung above me, pinpricks of oil in the red sky. This is new, I think. Or maybe not. I'm going to stop saying that because I don't want to know what I can remember and what I can't. Watching me from across leagues of rolling white waves stood the solitary figure of the king in yellow, because I think I did read this before. He seemed to travel towards me, closer and closer, as his tattered wrappings flapped in the wind. I definitely remember tattered wrappings flapping. His long, bony arms stretched to remove the pallid mask, and I knew I had found myself on the path to a truly terrible fate. I woke up. It was 9 a.m., several hours earlier than I would normally wake up, but after that nightmare, I was glad to be conscious. Nikita liked to tell me off for waking up late, so I assumed she wouldn't be expecting me awake for a few hours. My head still felt stuffy, so I decided to walk around the university grounds and get some air. It was a pleasant morning. A gentle wind blew softly on my weary eyes, a welcome break from the heat wave. Still, it seemed like it was going to be another warm summer day. Unfortunate. It was the last thing I needed with my albinism. I'd have to put a lot of sun shampoo on my fur. Uni campus was really nice, albeit a little old-fashioned. It looked like somewhere that would be haunted, and actually was, albeit only by the occasional gaunt-looking PhD student. Not that I was complaining. Whether my experience in the basement was real or not, I had quite enough of ghosts for now. I walked past the old clock tower. It would have looked a lot more impressive if it wasn't broken. I don't know why you don't replace it with a digital one or something. Although, obviously, I'm aware that isn't really your department. That wasn't an attack on you, faculty admins. Below that was an old statue of the university's founder, P.H. Lovecraft. Specious dickhead, but now he's just dead. Rip. I stopped. I found one of Nikita's student presidency posters. It was pretty daunting, though on the plus side, she changed her slogan to something slightly less fascist. Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Terrifying. Though in retrospect, that might have been worse. There was a box of leaflets under it. Nikita was certainly prepared for next year's election. It was almost a shame the caretakers would probably take this stuff down by next week. I have heard some things. To be honest, it's part of why I haven't gone through too much to look into it more. I kind of wanted to take a look at one of the leaflets, just out of morbid curiosity. Though, to be honest, 90% of that is just laziness. Straight up. That I haven't actually gone back to read any of the Lovecraft stuff. We can leave the leaflets alone. Nah, we'll err on the side of looking at it, but here's the thing. We're not going to read because we already did. Sitting at a lowly 11th, this appears to be the same. Yeah, this is all the same. Pretty sure. Some of that Lovecraft stuff is a yike on a bike and a half. Jeez. That bad, huh? Toss the leaflet back into its box. I eventually got back to my room and took a quick shower, making sure to cover myself in sun shampoo. I was really lucky to not get burnt yesterday, given how long I was out. Maybe the spores from that cottage rejuvenated skin and left a healthy glow on your fur? Looking at my gaunt, tired face in the mirror, I doubted it. Finally got around to cleaning up the cereal I spilled yesterday. Better late than never. I ended up just fucking about on my laptop to get my mind off things while I waited for Nikita. Sudden knock at my door. Stop writing weird monster erotica and then open up. I slammed my laptop shut. I still didn't know if she was spying on me or if it was a lucky guess. I would never get caught writing weird monster erotica. I threw some old underwear behind my bed in a vain attempt to seem less disgusting and lurched over to the door. I opened it up. Nikita marched into my room, almost knocking me over. You have the book? Nice to see you too. Cut the crap, Trixie. Where's the play? Fine, whatever. But look, we need to talk about some stuff, okay? Some weird shit happened when I was finding this. She doesn't even remember the weird shit. It's mostly dreams. You're doxing my monster journal? Wait, no. To be honest, I highly considered doing the monster journal in the public Discord. Don't know if that is actual or factual, though. I didn't notice before. Trixie's a little asymmetrical in the eyes. Me too. Maybe it's because she's so tired. I wrenched around in my bag for the book, eventually pulling out the scaled yellow tome. Wow. Okay, I was talking about this earlier. In the same bundle I got this game, I got a bunch of solo journaling games, which are basically writing prompts in game form. I've been playing one called Creature. I really strongly considered doing it in the public Discord, but I was actually just worried about doxing myself by accident. Journaling game's nice. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought. It's a nice thing to pick up when I'm not like actively working on something else, and then I get to write something instead of just like scrolling something. For once, Nikita seemed almost speechless. She walked over to me, seemingly unable to wait to get a hold of it. I handed it over, but part of me wanted to keep it for myself, if just for its value. Nikita was about to undo the ribbon and leaf through its pages, but I put my hand on it, stopping her. She shot me an angry look and almost pulled away. Nikita, seriously, we need to talk. I told her everything I remembered about yesterday, my time exploring Daffodil Lane, the missing squirrels, the abandoned cottage, the skulls, the ghost, waking up in a field. We didn't remember waking up in a field, we woke up here. And then vaguely remembered flashes. I told her I didn't even know where the play had come from. Nikita, I think we need to talk to someone, the police maybe. There were skulls in that basement. This isn't just some silly thing. Trixie, those skulls were obviously props. You said yourself, there's an artist on that road. They always do weird shit like that. No offense, but the options here are either 1, you saw a ghost, or 2, the person who reads ghost porn all day, were sleep deprived, dehydrated, overheating, and breathing mold spores, imagined a ghost when you saw some spooky props. When you forget half the day and fainted, or then you forgot half the day and fainted in a field after finding the play in the cottage. It was a good point, but I still felt unsure. I'm gonna call the police anyway just because we didn't last time. We found skulls. Mostly just because we didn't last time. No, shut up, Nikita. There are real skulls in that place. I'm phoning the police. I just won't mention the weird stuff. This is serious. It's more important than some dumb story. Nikita's lip visibly curled when I described the King in Yellow as a dumb story. Hello, McDonald's. How can I help you? Carcosa? They're in on it. Fine, whatever. Phone the police. But when you get arrested for breaking and entering, don't cry to me on the phone from your jail cell. Oof. I was pretty certain she was bluffing. I wouldn't get in trouble for that, right? I dialed the number for the police on my phone, and after a brief wait, the operator picked up. Hi, yeah, I'd like to report a suspicious house on Daffodil Lane. A creepy one, yeah, by the woods. Uh-huh. Right. I mean, there were skulls in it. Yeah? No, skulls. I saw some blood, too. What, seriously? Of course you have the budget to investigate it. You're like the police. It might be important. What about those missing squirrels that live literally 50 foot away? Uh-huh. Right. See, this is why no one likes... Oh. It hung up. I looked back to Nikita. Her expression was as sour as it had been when I started. But she seemed significantly smugger. Apparently, they don't have the budget to reinvestigate the squirrels, and they wrote the abandoned cottage off because no one could live in a place with air that full of hallucinogenic spores. I paused for a moment, considering how that could explain the ghost. Which doesn't make me feel great about breathing it in for so long yesterday. There, I told you, it was pointless. Now just keep it to yourself, and I'll help you with your coursework again. Once I finish reading the play, naturally. Waiting. Not even McDonald's would be that unhelpful. What if the book contains those spores too? And there was never a Yellow King. Yeah. Okay. And Greg went and stole some old effigy made out of bone and root, like unidentified roots and plants. And then we baked that for hours, and the extraction fan was working, but what if it clogged and no one ever noticed? What if Meat Greg was actually a big cheese dumpling? Exactly. Is that a deal, Smith? I felt wrong for not trying harder to get the police to check out the cottage. I knew it was selfish of me to ignore what might have been a huge deal, but I needed Nikita's help. I couldn't face the idea of going back to my parents after fucking up my education and not talking to them for months. I let out an audible sigh. Whatever, as long as we're even now. Meat Greg is such a menacing moniker. It is. You don't want to mess with Meat Greg. Meeting Greg is delightful, but meeting Meat Greg? Mm-mm. Of course we are. I never lie. I wasn't sure I believed that. Well, I'm off to read this. I do appreciate your service, Trixie, as much as I hate to admit it. I'll draft your coursework for you in a day or two. You have to finish it yourself, though. I'm not your mother. You definitely don't want to know why they call him that. No. Nikita was being uncharacteristically nice. Maybe she was warming to me? Anyway, you should get some sleep. You look like shit. Or not. King in Yellow clutched tightly against her chest. Stumbled back into my bed. Nikita was exhausting. Buzzing woke me up a few hours later. Someone was calling me. I was groggy and confused, so no different to normal. Reached for my phone and through my blurry eyes, I could make Heidi's name on the screen. Okay, we'll talk to Heidi in a few minutes. I'll be right back. See you all very soon. Welcome back. Never played Kingdom Hearats, but you read Volume 1 of the manga. I prefer Kingdom Hearats. Welcome. Isa, welcome back. Cassidy, welcome back. Arrow, welcome back. Reached for my phone and threw... Oh, we know it's Heidi already. Hey, you owe me a job. I stopped when a bit of drool fell out of my mouth. I've never been good with naps. I need you to come by my shop at like 5 today. Don't bug out now. You owe me for that crowbar, remember? Given your obviously bullshit explanation, you don't want anyone to find out. You were blatantly breaking and entering some poor innocent's house, right? She remembers. He'd seen through my lie. Great. Though it definitely wasn't an innocent's house. I didn't really want to explain that to her. Hey, no, rude. Even when it seems like the paths converge, they don't. Not completely. It was for urban exploration, actually. Oh, right, sorry. I just assumed since you were lying, you were off to rob someone or something. Look, I just need your help, okay? You promised. I did owe her. And it wasn't like I had anything else to do. Besides, it would be good to get outside and distract myself for a while, even if I should have been working on my report. Okay, I'll help. The spots being on her face and chest, and particularly her jacket, make it look like blood. If I had spots or fur, I would love to do things like dye them. Like, that's the coolest thing about skunk personas, honestly, is they get to dye the stripe part. Heidi looks really, like, hard, though, because it must be ketchup. Because hyena spots are typically black, right? So she had to bleach those. The spots aren't there all the time, are they? I thought she sometimes didn't. So Trixie herself notes that they're either dyed red or she's covered in blood. We'll have to keep an eye on it. He still says come by at 5 and also 7. Everyone is so rude to me. I curled back up in my bed. I was still pretty tired. I had half a day to kill until Heidi needed me. I didn't want to sit here stewing in my thoughts all day. Don't write in the report, I had half a day to kill. So I just laid in my bed. Now, deer though, because they have white spots. If I was a deer, I would dye them. Because they'd probably take to it easier than the rest of my fur. The reason why you need more time is because I was too busy stewing. But to be fair, you're just having a real rough time. Yesterday it fucked me up pretty badly, whether I wanted to show it or not. I found a coupon for a free bottle of sugar rabies in my sock drawer a few weeks back, so I figured since I had nothing else to do, I'd head down to town to use it. Anyway, the shopkeeper let slip the only reason Sugar Corp was giving the stuff away for free was because anyone who drank a can lost an average of 3 teeth. So no way buying it. So no one was buying it anymore. I guess they were hoping people would risk a bottle for free and end up hooked on this dubiously legal chemicals. I knew better than to wrangle with that since I don't have that many teeth, being a rat and all. Phone's clock said it was almost midday, and I hadn't really eaten yet. I figured I'd combine breakfast and lunch. I decided to call this new meal Lunchfest. Thoughts were cut off when a familiar figure tapped on the window next to me. I recognized Greg, the small sugar glider from yesterday. I wandered past their bakery without realizing it. Their Gregory. Banana, I love you too. Thank you so much. Fucking capitalists, say it, coward. I said it last time. I'm saying less of the, like, cutouts. Fine, fucking capitalists. Fucking greedy capitalists. Just getting away with whatever they want. Because they don't want to eat the cost on a few crates of poorly designed soda. Is that what you wanted?
Yosh.
Wandered past their bakery without realizing it. I guess my subconscious was telling me to get lunch fest at Greg's. Oh, thank you for the pass, or for the, thank you for the Cass Pats. Thank you for the Pats, Cass. Hi, Greg. Hey, Trixie. Are you here for some tasty treats? I love Greg's tasty treats. Oh, a choice. You aren't on break, don't DM you. What are you talking about? You want to squish me? Try it. You can't even break the membrane. The cast pass for all seats and unlocks. It's great value. So last time I tried to take the healthy option and ask for a vegetable roll. Ah. Thank you for the stretch. You'll get help. You'll get help to squish me. I'll ask for a triple chocolate muffin anyway. Triple chocolate muffin would be nice. Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food into a little paper bag. Fortunately, I'd remembered to bring my wallet today. Oh! Last time we asked for a vegetable roll, and they just threw in a muffin. I heard the bakery was so busy yesterday, I could see it was making you anxious. It's a lot calmer today. The fact that 2 customers were considered busy made me feel slightly bad for Greg. Was the bakery not doing well? No problem. Sorry for being weird yesterday. It was kind of hot and I'd already fainted once and like, I get anxious while buying stuff. Hope you're feeling better today. Here, have a bottle of water on the house. That should stop you fainting again. I felt bad accepting something for free given my suspicions about Greg's financial situation. That's okay, I'll live. No hiking in the sun for me today. Where am I going? Banana, hello. Well, the offer's there. I wouldn't want any of my friends fainting. Like, friend unlocked. Their friendliness almost reminded me of Parsnip, though thankfully Greg seemed to be capable of conversations and had an actual personality. You seem to like cakes, Trixie. Do you make any yourself? Shook my head. I don't do much baking or cooking in general, really. Okay. We skipped before. You're getting me? You're getting me? This is you getting me? This is you getting digested. We skipped before and it stopped on new text, so I'm gonna. Testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. Content warning, mild violence, horror, meet Craig, mature language. You're getting me so hard right now. Sorry, incorrect. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so everything was the same. Apologies, we got all the way to Heidi. And skipped all the way in. You're just getting me really bad? I see, I see. Yeah, I'm so got right now. Okay, so here's what Heidi had us do. She's got a bunch of occult junk. And it has us sorted into things that might be valuable or things that she's gonna burn. This option. I picked up one of the last items in the box, a small book titled Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Most of it seemed to be missing, but there are a few pages left. It sounded kind of interesting. Heidi seems to really dislike us giving any attention to this stuff, by the way. She seems to have a personal history with, quote, having seen this stuff mess with people's heads. Hi, Sybil. So we're going to read it while Heidi's away, which is against the rules. I decided to use this chance and flick through the remnants of the book. Spiral speeches of the star gods. Across the world, hundreds of tablets etched with identical spirals have been uncovered by archaeological digs. Thanks to bird mythology, these are popularly known as the star god tablets. Hi, Banana. That's it? What's it? No more messages till after your break? No! There's been much speculation around these strange artifacts. The most obvious origin is clearly the humble sheep. Famously, every sheep has a near identical spiral on their right front hoof. A strange evolutionary quirk. These exactly match the spirals seen in the supposed star god tablets. As the star gods are without a doubt entirely fictitious, the most obvious conclusion is that ancient societies would use sheep to produce this strange art. Most likely, these etchings were painted when originally created, but any evidence of this has long since faded with time. Of course, some old bird legends would suggest that sheep created these themselves by pressing their feet into wet clay and allowing it to harden. This would make sense if not for sheep showing no signs of the creativity needed to create such art, let alone the intelligence to produce clay tablets. That said, anyone who has seen the footprints of a sheep can certainly agree that the process would be physically possible for them, if unlikely. This may merely be a misinterpretation of the claim. It is entirely possible sheep were specially trained to perform this task, or had their hoofs used as tools after death. Other bird legends describe the supposed star gods themselves creating these texts, hence their relevance to the tablets, though such stories are the realm of fantasy. The largest discovery of these relics were found in the Ash Islands of Oceania, and would have fallen from the sky after being thrown into the air by the Great Dark Age Cataclysm. This would make their original location the Siberian Wastes, the supposed home of the star gods. Nevertheless, this theory is ultimately the pages end there. That's a lot for like a couple of pages in the middle of a book. This book had seen better days. It'd been an interesting read. I threw it into the trash box. It wasn't long before Heidi was back. Oh, we didn't even get caught. Sorry about that. Customers are a pain. You finished. Nice one. You look genuinely pleased with me. You know, you didn't do a bad job. She seemed to think for a moment. Trixie, how would you like to help me out again? For money, I mean. Your crowbar debt's paid. Oh, wow. I've never had a job before, maybe? I wanted to help Heidi, if just to satisfy my curiosity about her strange inventory. But I also wanted to hang out with Greg or Belle. I wasn't sure if there would be time for that, too. We agreed to help Heidi this time. Yeah, I guess that might be fun. I could use the money to buy more bat stuff. Bat stuff? Okay, sure. Tell you what, come along tomorrow at like 3 o'clock. You can help me out. Plenty more work to do. She tapped one of the unsorted boxes. Okay, cool, Heidi. Thank you. Right, I better start closing up. Thanks for your help. I'll see you, Trixie. Wished her a good evening and started to walk home to my bed. I could definitely use some sleep. Walking past Wilbur Hall on my way to the bed when I noticed Nikita fumbling with the vending machine. She was trying to pull a bar of toffee millet out of its slot, but it seemed to be stuck. She gave the machine a frustrated kick, and the snack fell out. As she picked it up, she noticed me watching her. Oh, hello, Trixie. I'm on my way back to my room. I have to finish reading the... She seemed almost scared to say it. Nighty-night, bunny. I hope you get lots of good rest. Yellow, yes. The king in yellow. I Nikita seemed skittish. Her usually tidy clothing was scruffy, her fur unbrushed, and her eyes flitted around the hallway frantically. Her constant fidgeting made her look eager to finish talking to me and get back to her room. It was like she'd just been for a spin in a tumble dryer full of caffeine. Are you okay, Nikita? You're kind of a mess. Have you been reading all day or something? Yes, I have. All day, yes. Last night, too. Preliminary research. It has been an illuminating read thus far. I need to read a little more, but... Trixie... She grabbed me by the shoulders, pulling me close. I looked down at her scared eyes. Down. It's so weird to think that Trixie's taller. I knew all too much about the reputation of the King in Yellow. I didn't want to believe it could have done this to Nikita, but this wasn't right. Trixie, I need to make some notes and, need to double check. Read between the lines, but... No, never mind. We can discuss this later when I'm certain. You let go of me. I better go back to my room. There's... Yes. Good night, Trixie. She did a sort of shaky, fast walk away from me towards the accommodation block. Bye, Nikita. I was scared. Could this really have been the work of that play? I shook my head. This had to be sleep deprivation. She'd barely slept in weeks with her campaign planning and coursework. And yet, I could remember how the book had drawn me to it when I held it. I'd wanted to pull the golden ribbon and read it, regardless of its contents. The rumors around that accursed play were more than enough to make it maddening to behold. I didn't like Nikita, but I was genuinely worried about her health. I figured I'd let her finish reading and get some sleep. Then I could always make sure she was okay in the morning. Isa, good night. Thank you for the lovely company. Oh my gosh. Your prized possession? Oh my gosh. Thank you, my lovely Starshine. Get lots of rest. I'm so excited to see you in the morning.
Yosh.
Aw, thank you for the pats. I eventually got back to my room and collapsed onto my bed. It had been a busy day. I was planning to muck about on my laptop until I got tired enough to sleep, but it was on my desk and I couldn't be bothered to get back out of bed. I remembered the book about ghosts I'd gotten a hold of a few weeks back. Probably still on the floor next to my bed. I remembered it being pretty tacky. Bring over the edge, I could see it was. After my sighting in the basement, I thought it might be relevant. If I was going to stay awake a little longer, I thought I might as well use my time productively. Before I could reach for the book, my phone buzzed. Tabby had sent me a message. It was unexpected. I don't speak to Tabby often, which is sad, because I kind of wish we were friends, but I don't think she really notices me. Like, the part of her excuse to being late to turn her assignment in is the person that was going to do my work went crazy. That's true. She just blatantly admits to having someone else do her work for her in the... I used to think she was kind of weird, but after last week, I have to admit I'm taking her more seriously. Wasn't sure if I could handle a conversation with her right then, but I did think it would be kind of nice to talk to someone. I remember last time, I think we definitely messaged Tabby. I'll take a choice here. Do we message Tabby or grab the book? Which one's going to drive us crazier? I am pretty sure we messaged Tabby last time. So just for seeing content, I think I'll default to grabbing the book. Managed to fish the book off the floor. Talking to ghosts. Ghosts are mischievous little critters. Let's try to talk to one. I don't know if this is going to, like, set us on the path for the bad ending, by the way. Because last time, we needed a crystal. that we got from Tabby, which we knew about because Tabby tells us tonight that her crystal's missing. And then we, knowing that, read a book that talked about those crystals and their use of disrupting or being used in ritual. Senzu, thank you. He knew I needed a drink and he brought me one. And that seemed to be what helped us prevent Cataclysm. So horrible things might be about to happen. First, you need to go somewhere haunted. Of course, it has to be the night. There has to be night, and lights have to be off, or the ghost will be scared. I slammed the book shut. I think that was enough. I sighed. Most of the books about this stuff were awful, so I don't know what I was expecting. My time was better spent getting some sleep. I had a surprisingly pleasant, if somewhat strange, dream. I was a clerk marrying Nikita to a giant toffee millet bar. And then I married the entire cast of Cyber Draculias from Mars. Parsnip was there, jumping up and down, throwing confetti. Let's not get into it. No, we kept the string this time too, because I thought engaging with Parsnip more or more harshly would get us different results. So I still kept the string. Regardless, it was a welcome break from the horrid dreams I'd had the night before. I woke up feeling a lot better. Eat the string. If that was an option, I would. It was pretty early in the morning, but I sent Nikita a message anyway. I didn't get a response and assumed she must have finally gone to sleep. I could check again tonight. And if she was still MIA, I could let security or the campus doctor know she was acting funny. That said, I knew she wouldn't do the same for me. I lazed around in bed for a while, until I felt too gross to not shower any longer. Once I was eventually somewhat functional, I decided to work out what to do. I remembered I'd promised to help Heidi again. I was hoping I wouldn't regret signing up to boring junk. Oh, to boring junk sorting. I don't know why I thought there was like a sentence break there. But I couldn't help be intrigued by her side business, whatever it was. And some of the stuff she had might have been cool to look at, even if it was just tap. With last night's encounter with Nikita all but forgotten, I made myself somewhat presentable and headed to town. Heidi seemed somewhat surprised to see me. Good of you to show up, Trixie. Ready for a day of hard work? She grinned and bundled me into her office. Just yoink. I wasn't ready for a day of hard work. I never am. I was tired after about half an hour. Lifting stuff is a lot of effort. I persevered, though. And after a few hours, we were pretty much done. I noticed Heidi's shop didn't get much traffic, though with the amount of money her secret stock was worth, I wasn't sure that was an issue. I was about to comment on the lack of customers when we heard the shop's front door open. A customer had arrived. Heidi snuck over to the office door and peered through the spy hole. Ah, of course. She opened the door and beckoned me into the shop. A familiar face was waiting for us. Hey, Greg. We were just in the back, not fucking each other or anything. Why would you say that? She forced the laugh out as she closed the door behind us. Greg giggled. I was a little offended. I don't think I am really the fucking kind of person, unless it involved Monster or Cyber Bat Razor, maybe. Trixie, I feel you. Because you weren't. What a succinct sexuality description. Hey, friends. You here for those boxes? You bet. Is that still okay? I don't want to cause any trouble if you need them. Nah, take as many as you need. What's so you need them for, anyway? You making a delivery or something? Really putting this in her letter to get more time in the paper, huh? Yeah. She is currently scrawling this all over her walls and floor because she is getting out of this completely mentally unaffected. It's for boxing things. I'm going to put things in the box. I love them so much. Their eyes flitted back and forth. I'm boxing the wedding cake I made for those two mice. The cake's going in the box. Why shouldn't we believe them? They're putting things in the box. The cake's going in the box. Makes sense. It certainly did. Anyway, I better get back and box that cake. See you later, pals. Later, dude. Have a nice time boxing the cake. Greg hurried out of the shop, the cardboard box held above their head. It looked pretty ridiculous. Okay, Trixie, we got a few things left to go through before we're done. Let's not waste any time. It took longer than I would have liked, but we eventually finished sorting for the day. I almost collapsed, exhausted. I was amazed at quite how much junk Heidi had collected. I still really wanted to find out where the stuff came from, for educational reasons, obviously. That's enough for today. Great work. She pulled a wad of money from her pocket. 75 pounds. How's that sound? I could buy a lot of tat with that. Cool. I'd never been paid for a job before, besides the time I got given 10 pounds to throw a rock through someone's window, though that was less a job and more a paid act of vandalism. Like being a soldier. Hey, you like whiskey, Trixie? Oh, I mean, I haven't tried it. I don't drink often, I'm pretty bad with alcohol. Besides, I better head back to my room and get some sleep, you know? Well, feel free to have a bottle anyway. I have tons of the stuff. Think of it as a work benefit. Sure then. It might be tasty. Knock yourself out. I mean, don't. Take it slow. Alcohol. Know your limits. She opened her own bottle and downed half of it. I thanked her and headed home. I drank the entire bottle within 10 minutes of leaving when... What? Trixie. I drank the entire bottle within 10 minutes of leaving when my phone rang. Trixie. Something's come up. Can you come help me out again? Fortunately, I'd avoided the whiskey's evil effects so far and was able to answer. Trixie, you're taking after LaRose too much. An entire bottle of whiskey in 10 minutes. Hi. Why are you shouting? Mostly. Sorry, I can be there in a few minutes. Great, see you then. He's gonna die. I think I would die. Literally just said she isn't good with it. Managed to find my way back to Heidi's. It only took about twice as long as it should have. Hi! I kind of fell through the door. I tried to turn it into a kind of cool dance move, but I don't think it worked. Wait, Trixie, are you drunk? Seriously? Haha, yep. I tried to do a cool grin, but I'm pretty sure I just look sleazy. Great, well, you better sober up because it's too late to rearrange this mess now. You should go make a delivery for me while I meet my supplier. I hope it's not drugs. That would be very illegal. I giggled to myself for a bit, apparently, finding the concept of drug prohibition hilarious. Falls through the floor after having one beer. I'm realizing now, I don't know if I've ever had whiskey. I was thinking of this as rum the entire time. This is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is... Doors engine banging noises. You'd love to try whiskey? We can try whiskey. Heidi just shook her head in despair. I realized I needed to get my act together and managed to brute force sobriety for a while. Sorry, Heidi. Yeah, I'm okay now. I can totally hand over some drugs for you. Easy. Heidi didn't look wholly impressed with my joke. Apparently, only I find myself funny when I'm drunk. It's not drugs. It's some of the crap we've been sorting. That stuff has... Well, it has a very specific clientele, and I sell it in alleyways. No way! Oh my god, what was their name? Was it like Desiree? Protector of the Moonlight? There's no way it was that. It was something like that. I can't believe... Keeper of Cosmic Secrets? Look, don't worry about it too much. We don't have time to mess about. Now, there's something else you'll need. You could buy me a good one. You don't have to buy us alcohol, Banana. Okay, so explain again why I'm dressed as a pixie or whatever. A pixie? Have you ever seen a pixie before? They don't look anything like that. I think goblin. Oops. I giggled to myself for a moment before calming down again. Behave. Now, Trixie, you're no longer Trixie. In this... Sorry, I need to read the name. In this costume, you're Delilah Moonbeam, Keeper of Cosmic Secrets, and you're a Delilah Moonbeam, Keeper of the Cosmic Secrets? Delilah Moonbeam, Keeper of the Cosmic Secrets, and don't you forget it. You are the Moonlight whatever. No good whiskeys, not because you've drunk any, but because you have friends that drink. Heidi's Delilah Moon. Anika of the Seeked. Yeah, that. Delilah Moonbeam is Heidi's OC. It's true. It's your friggin' Dungeons and Bungeons character, Heidi. I started cackling to myself. Heidi seemed a lot less cool and edgy now. Heidi's face was red with embarrassment, but she quickly regained composure and swatted me lightly around the head. Hey, shut the fuck up. Delilah Moonbeam is my illegal antique book-selling alter ego. That way the weirdos who buy this crap don't recognize me and come stalk me. So don't fuck up and let anyone know who you are, and don't fucking tell anyone about this, or I'll fucking end you, okay? Those two antique books, by the way. Oh, thank you. I like those. She sounded pretty serious, so I shut up. Okay, so you're going to want to use a different voice. I usually use a deep, scary one. I wasn't going to do that. Talking in a deep voice made me feel like shit. Deeply understandable. As unhealthy as it might be, I'll always choose to kill my vocal cords and talk how I want over my normal voice, or worse, an over-the-top deep one. I figured I'd just talk kind of slowly and weird, like a cartoon ghost. You're heading to the... Trixie, shut the fuck up. Sorry, I need to read this. You're heading to the alleyway next to Pound Town. That cheap... I'll take you to Pound Town. Oh my god, I have the same humor as drunk Trixie. Kids need to learn your alcohol tolerances. I giggled under my breath a little more, but managed to shut up. Okay, as I was saying, you're heading to the alleyway next to Pound Town, that cheap tat shop, like 10 minutes from here. Someone will meet you there. You take the payment, then you give them the books, then you leave. Got it? Yeah, I got you. Spooky voice, don't show my face. My name is Delilah Moonbeam. Alleyway, going to Pound Town. Give the books to get the payment. Easy. Heidi didn't look super convinced, but before she could comment, she glanced at the clock. Fuck, you're gonna be late if you don't get going. Just don't muck this up for me, Trixie, please. I'll pay you well for it when you're back, I promise. I don't know why she didn't just go herself and have Trixie do whatever she needed to in the shop. Oh, I like silly literature too. I like antique silly literature. Heidi handed me 2 wrapped up books and bundled me out of the door with some vague directions to Pound Town. 2 books, not 1. Interestingly. What kind of books are these? They are ancient tomes detailing profane ritual. So yes, you could say antique smut. Like, if you don't help her, she has no problem going herself. That's true. I would have made the decision to go myself on seeing how Trixie's behaving. I wasn't too far from the shop, so even in my inebriated state, I got there pretty quickly. I waited around the dark alleyway. I waited around in the dark alleyway, hoping I wasn't late. Just as I was thinking about leaving, I caught sight of movement in the darkness. An odd figure shuffled towards me. They forced themselves towards me on clumsy, rigid legs. They wore a heavy hooded cloak, which shrouded their face in darkness, from which yellow eyes gleamed towards me. I am sure this is real. The matted figure. Oh, goodness. He's still walking, which is impressive. Delilah. Their voice was strange. It rasped every sound and cut out suddenly at the end of each phoneme. That's not Greg. Ooh, I'm Delilah Moonbeam. Ooh. The figure's hooded head jerked up and down. I think it was supposed to be a nod. That? The figure twitched, almost seeming to collapse briefly before jutting back up. Before I could ask if they were all right, they spoke again. The payment has discussed. The figure shakingly and judderingly extended a hoofed hand to me. Their arm was covered in matted, dirty wool, parts of which were shedding to reveal what seemed to be deep peck marks. I thought of the abandoned cartage and the clumps of matted wool lying within and shuddered. Your spooky voice is really freaking cute. Well, I'm doing a Trixie voice as Trixie Glimmersmith. So of course I'm trying to be cute. And also, thank you. I thought of the dark stain and the bird feathers lost in the scuffle. A coincidence, surely. Surely. But still not something that bore thinking about. Despite their arm ending with a hoof, this creature was clearly no cow. Cows are sapient, sheep are not. I don't know why. It appeared almost sheep-like, though I knew that was impossible. It dropped what seemed to be several peels and a beautiful You mean pearls? I thought it was like candied orange peel. It dropped what seemed to be several peels and a beautiful sapphire inlaid circlet into my outstretched hand. It must be all your practice woeing. It is. Not spooky at all, actually. Well, I don't think Trixie's doing a very good job. The valuable items sparkled in the starlight. A peel is like a chime. Maybe. I would have assumed I just didn't know what they were talking about if I hadn't seen, you know, a few typos. I almost thought about stealing them to pay off my student debt, but I'd probably need a few diamonds on top of it to even make a dent in that. Besides, Heidi had a taser. One which she neglected to give me for this meeting. Great. I put the treasures into my bag and took out the first package. I gingerly held the package forward, and the matted figure clumsily took it from my hands. Thank you, friend. And the next? This matted figure was off-putting. I wanted to get out of here as fast as possible and never see them again. No problem, I sputtered out. I was about to pass them the second package when I felt sick. Drinking that much whiskey had been a mistake, obviously. In this context, they probably meant Pearl. I've heard it in context of a sound peeling out. Last thing I needed was to throw up inside that mask. There wasn't anywhere for it to go. I took off the mask and was pleased to find I just needed to burp. I almost yelled, realizing what I'd done. My eyes locked with 2 yellow pinpricks under the stranger's hood. I could swear I saw a flash of recognition. I quickly put the mask back on, almost dropping it in my panic. I claimed my face was actually a second mask. Wanted to yelp and run, but I managed to keep my cool, apparently forgetting to put a voice on in the meantime. Okay, right, so you probably think you got me there, but actually, nope. For you see, I am wearing 2 masks. Several, actually, aren't we all? I tapped the mask smugly. Was but a first. My mask was but a second. I mean, my mask was but a second. It isn't my face. Wasn't. Orange we all. Its peels all the way down. Hiding our vulnerable from onlookers. I thought that might have worked and swayed. I thought that might have worked and swayed on the spot for a bit. My heart dropped. Under the hood, I saw a glint of a malicious smile, and I knew the strange-minded figure had not believed me. I about to hand over the packages and run, but I freaked out. Next thing I knew, I was running down the alleyway, the figure following me with loud stomps of its strange, hard, hoof-like feet. My heart raced. That unnatural creature in the alleyway filled me with dread. Something about their appearance, mannerisms, and even the air around them chilled me to the bone. I threw open the door to Heidi's shop and ran into the office, relieved to see Heidi was already back. You're back already? Good work, I owe you one. Get that costume off and we can both get some sleep. I took the costume off and packed it away like Heidi had asked. It took my time, but I couldn't put it off any longer. Oh, Heidi. There was a little fuck up and they saw my face, kinda? What? You showed your face to them, are you kidding? I gave you a fucking mask, specifically so this wouldn't happen. Do you know how much danger you've put us in? You know the people who buy this crap are real psychos, right? Like, completely unhinged? I knew she'd be mad, but hearing her sound so genuinely afraid surprised me. We gotta tell her the truth. Told her the truth. Okay, so I explained the entire meeting. Heidi listened and seemed to calm down as I spoke, much to my relief. Sorry for shouting at you, Trixie. I didn't mean to scare you. I have a bit of a temper, and this is serious stuff. Come on, it'll be fine. Let's get you home safe. We can talk tomorrow when you're feeling better. My motorbike's out front. You can sit in the sidecar. Don't throw up in it, though, because then I will be pissed. For once, I appreciated the laugh, but I wasn't sure I could promise that. Before we could leave, the front door swung open, and the cool night breeze flooded into the shop. Good evening, friends. Heidi seemed to see the worry on my face. Trixie, is this? I nodded, still stuck to the spot. I couldn't believe I'd let this happen. Heidi pushed me back and growled through bared teeth as she grabbed her rounder's bat. What do you want? The figure jerkily raised their arm and pointed at me. The rat. The book. Trixie the fuck alone and leave. The book. Figure lurched forward. Wrong move. Heidi leapt forward and swung the bat as hard as she could. She clearly had a lot of practice. There was a terrible crack as the figure's arm broke. The rats. I cringed at the sound, but was shocked to see them continue their advance. Either they didn't notice their arm was fractured or didn't care. Heidi threw her bat to the ground and pulled out her taser. She charged the figure and began wrestling with them, but seemed unable to budge them, as if they were carved from solid stone. The book. The book. Return. Get out. Heidi jammed her taser into the cloaked figure's woolen arm, forcing contact between them. The figure pulled away with a start. Heidi fell to the floor in their absence. The wool Heidi had been tasering had ignited. A small fighter spread up the creature's arm. The matted figure flew out of the door with force, as if yanked off stage by a cane. The shot fell silent. It was a while before Heidi spoke up. Trixie, let's get you home. We can talk about this tomorrow, okay? I nodded. According to Poppygon.com, Cyber Draculias from Mars was getting a reboot, so that was cool. Cyber Bat Razor had a new design, somehow even hotter than the old one. Irrelevant. Sorry again. In the report. That was some pretty exciting news, but pretty soon that night took a turn for the worse. I'd been worrying about the matted figure all night, but I was pretty sure they hadn't followed me and Heidi to uni. Her bike was pretty fast. Besides, I was in a busy accommodation block. They would have to be pretty brave to follow me here. I'd calmed down a lot after eating some snacks. Things were going to be okay, I foolishly thought. Eventually, I managed to get to sleep. Night-night, Cassidy. I love you too. Have fun with Heidi. Oh, I will. Get lots of rest. I am also going to take a real quick break here, but I'll be back in just a few minutes, so I'll see you all real soon. Welcome back. We finally got some sleep, only to immediately be woken up by a knocking at the door. If it was Nikita, she'd be shouting abuse right now, so who is it? The matted figure. Welcome back, Aero. Trixie, this is important. We need to talk. It's about the King in Yellow. This is when she tells us what she found out. I'd completely forgotten to check up on Nikita, and by the sound of it, she'd deteriorated somewhat. I shouted a mess of words at her, my half-asleep mouth barely functioning. The knocking stopped. I managed to get my clothes on and open the door. Trixie, sit with me. She took a seat on my bed, the King in Yellow clutched in her hands. I was taken aback. Nikita always looked faintly repulsed by my hygiene. She would never normally consider touching any of my stuff. Nikita, are you okay? Trixie, shut up. I'm fine. Now sit down and listen to me. I already told you this is important. She didn't look fine. She looked even worse than last time I saw her. I nervously sat down. My eyes were drawn to a closed play. It was only a book, but it seemed to suck the air out of the room. I felt cold, confused, scared. Trixie, I finished reading it. It says so much. I can't. You need to read it for yourself to understand. It's just so... I can't explain. My head is a maelstrom. But Trixie, my point is... I'm in this play. Or I mean, I can tell it's supposed to be me. Trixie, I'm the heir to the Broken Throne. And the heir to Carcosa. I was dumbstruck. What was Nikita on about? She was a character in some old play, the heir to a fictional city? It was madness. Nikita, I think you need to sleep. You're not making any sense. How about you wait? Trixie, you're not going to get me sectioned. Oh, I go get someone to help you. That's what she reacts. Don't you dare accuse me of being sick or mad, or we both know I'm smarter than you, so shut up and listen to me. Her eyes bore into me with a genuine malice. She was scaring me. So before we apologized and let her continue, this time we're going to press the issue. Nikita, I really think you need to get some help. I hate to admit it, but you're scaring me a lot. Whoop! Nikita stood up in an attempt to tower over me. It only kind of worked, given that she's shorter than me. It throws me off. She's a deer, right? I mean, I get that doesn't always matter. In fact, it often doesn't. I think she must have noticed because she leant over me, forcing me to lean back. It would have been kind of hot if I wasn't fucking terrified. Small deer. She's one of those teacup deer. A deer's head is normally 5 to 6 feet up from the ground and able to look people in the eye. That's what I'm saying. Nikita seemed to like forcing me to be subby. Trixie Glimmer Smith, shut the fuck up. Stop it. Stop talking and listen to me. Her eyes flicked to the wall. I think she was worried people would overhear. I realized I wasn't going to get through to her. I just have to hear her out and get her out of here. I could work out what to do about this mess when she was back in her own room. Okay. I'm sorry, Nikita. I'll listen. Thank you, Trixie. I shall continue. Noah sighed with relief. She calmed down. She stayed towering over me, though. I think Nikita just gets off on being an authoritarian. I am the heir to Carcosa, Trixie. At first, I didn't believe, but all the signs are there. Got this. I've had it since I was born. She pointed at the white freckles on her face. You recognize them, right? The Heidi's, the constellation, the eternal prison of Carcosa. I gazed at Nikita's face. It was hard to be sure, but her markings were definitely familiar. I'd seen them before in my vision of Carcosa that night in my dreams. I see it. I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't know much about stars. That seemed to placate Nikita somewhat, but she still seemed pretty unhappy with my lack of certainty. Look, Trixie, just read the play. It's not just the markings, there's so much. Nikita dragged my desk over to the bed, reached across the floor, but I didn't want to stop her. She sat down next to me again and placed the king in yellow on the desk. Read, please. You'll understand. Looked down at the play. Ever since I first laid eyes on it, the book had been on the back of my mind. I wanted to read it. I carefully reached out and ran my hand across the cover. It was cold. Open it, Trixie. We don't have forever. The only option, opened King in Yellow. A lot of time passed. Initially, I was disinterested. Nikita had obviously been skimping on sleep. Play written over a century ago did not reference her. It could not. Strangely, I remember little to nothing of the play's contents. It seemed to pass through my mind like wind. Or I remember little. In my mind, I still see the black stars hanging in the sky, the rolling clouds breaking against the dread galleys of the Imperial Navy, and the terrible remains of the broken throne. When Nikita saw me finish Act 1, she spoke for the first time since we had opened the play. Do you see it yet? Do you see me? No, Nikita. There's never even any mention of an heir or you or anything. It's just, oh geez, I don't even know how to describe it. What is this? What are you saying? You can't see me? Can't you read? She rustled me for the book. My desk toppled over in the struggle. I needed the play. It was mine now. Give it to me, Nikita. I realized I'd let go to shout at her. I quickly grabbed it again, but it was too late. Nikita shoved me and I tumbled to the floor. She wasn't so desperate for it last time, I'm pretty sure. As I fell through the air, I caught a glimpse of the first line of the second act. In that moment, I saw only a blur of ink scrawled onto a yellowed page. I'm not even sure I truly read it, but it left an imprint on my mind nevertheless. More than anything else that happened in the next few days, no matter how bad it got, nothing compared to this. If I could destroy my memories of this year, my new friends, my education, even my transition, I would. The opening to the second act of The King in Yellow was terrible, unlike anything imaginable. I hit the ground with a thud, my head spun and my vision blurred. A feeling of dread, the likes of which I had never known, hit me like a gunshot. My head felt light, and as I raised my hands to indicate surrender, they shook as if I was about to faint. What I read in that book stays with me even to this day, and I have no intention to repeat it here lest rereading it bring me new, more terrible insights. That line changed everything. Nikita was right. Broken Throne belonged to her. You believe me now, don't you, Trixie? Never doubt me again. I saw Nikita grab a sharp knife off of my desk. It wasn't super sharp, but I had no intention of finding out whether it could cut skin and shuffled across the floor away from Nikita. Now, get out. Get out of here. I never should have let you read this. You don't deserve it. But this is my room. A small semblance of normality returned to Nikita's face as she seemed to have snapped out of her fury. I need to use this chance to calm her down. We broke down and cried. Actually, did we do that last time? I remember really wanting to. Me too. I didn't know what to say. I just broke down in tears. You saw my calling inked into that page, Trixie. Whether you want to admit it or not, you know. I've always known where I was headed. Oh wait, we can just go back and repick. Brought up the student union election. Nikita, wait, what about your election stuff? Running around with weapons, attacking people, and talking crazy isn't going to... You think I care about student politics? You saw my calling inked into that page. Well, my head hurt at the mention of the Forsaken City. Surely Nikita couldn't truly intend to sit upon its throne. Look, Trixie, you had your chance to join me as my underling. But it's clear the decay of this world at silly parties and fun have ruined you. You could have shined as bright as the twin suns. Disappointing. I scrambled for the door and managed to lock it, my heart thudding in my chest and my mind tossed and turned like the dread fleet at anchor. I should have been more worried about Nikita. She was clearly a danger to herself and others. But all I could think about was the King in Yellow. I remember parts of the night that followed. My mind raced almost nonstop. Every now and again, I'd fall asleep, only to wake up everywhere in my room. At some point, my phone buzzed. Nikita was messaging me. Don't you believe me, Trixie? You had your chance to serve me at the foot of the broken throne and rule the city of decay. Why did you have to ruin it? The king's tattered hand will guide me alone. This is what I was meant to be, always. Do not be scared, Trixie. You know this is right. We read all of that last time. Very upsetting, very spooky. It continued in that manner for a long time, maybe hundreds of messages from Nikita, all completely incomprehensible. She seemed set on sitting upon the broken throne underneath the rotten spire of Carcosa. My phone started buzzing almost nonstop. Similar messages poured through from hundreds of unknown numbers. Oh, did they now? They didn't last time. I tried to block them, but more and more flooded through. Were these all coming from Nikita? Did she have friends? Or was this something far worse? Nikita had a weapon. She was unstable. I thought about how she had spoken earlier that night. It scared me. I needed help, but who would believe me? I didn't want to burden Heidi with it. She had enough on her plate already, thanks to me. There's the police. I didn't like them, but maybe they were my only hope. Yeah, we'll phone the police. Hey, I'd like to report a dangerous deer at my university. Wait, who is this? I checked the number. It was definitely the police, so why were they whispering? I strained my ears trying to pick out the words, but all I could hear were faint murmuring. Look, I'm trying to report an incident, so shut up. I know you guys are a bunch... More murmuring. At first, I thought my attempt at feminine voice was being mocked, but then I heard the word Carcosa and my blood chilled. The police were compromised. That was the same one as last time? The most distinct, terrifying moment I recall was maybe 4 a.m. I was laying awake and noticed a figure stood at my door, tall, robed, and stood perfectly still. I held my breath and shut my eyes. I didn't know how long they were shut, but eventually I opened them again. My breathing was ragged as I focused. There was no one there. Of course, I realized in the morning I was freaking out over my dressing gown. Eventually, I managed some small amount of restful sleep, an hour or two at most. When I awoke, I could remember what happened with Nikita all too well. I could remember reading The King in Yellow, but after that, nothing. Parts of it seemed to be a dream, or my imagination, or something worse. There's no wall between reality and madness. I couldn't trust anything, but I knew Nikita was dangerous. I knew she was headed to the broken throne. Quite what that meant, I didn't know, but I had to stop her. You fell asleep? Is that okay? Not gonna get in trouble or anything? You're so comfy. Aw. If Nikita unlocked the white gate of Holly and walked through, but could walk back out. Despite my fatigue, I somehow remembered that I needed to change my estrogen patch today. Been skipping on my anti-androgen tablets too. No wonder I was a mess. My hormones were all over the place too. I want to read more bedtime stories too. Oh. After the shower, I slapped a new patch on my ear. You're meant to put them below the waist, but I don't want to shave an area for it, so I'm assuming I'll be fine. I haven't died yet. Gotten a text from Cops, the local pizza takeaway. And for prank calling them. I blinked, bemused. I had no idea what it was about. Had Nikita framed me, she seemed a little beyond sabotaging my pizza reputation when she was waving a weapon at me. Figured it was a mistake and left it. Pizza was overpriced anyway. Gotten another text, this time from campus security. What happened after you came back after the book selling? Did you see the part where the guy we were selling the book to came back to the shop? Because I admit most of it from then to now has been pretty much the same. Aside from this time Trixie is scared that you fell asleep during that. Heidi broke his arm with a bat. And then got him with the taser, and his wool caught fire and he ran out of the store. Well, more to the point, he was pulled as if by marionette strings out of the store. Apparently the person next door, I think Misty Dartmoth or someone on the museum studies course, had put in a complaint about me. Apparently I had been talking to myself all night and scratching the wall. Shame. I liked her. If just because she had a nice name. Looked at the wall. It was true. Left some tiny claw marks in them. That was my deposit gone. Maybe I could buy some paint off of Heidi and hide them, but right now I had more pressing problems. By the time I was ready to face the world, it was already pretty late. Like being pulled by my strings? Yeah, you do. You're so good at it, too. I needed to do something. After last night, the last thing I wanted was to be trapped inside with my mind all day. Heidi probably didn't want me to come down until about 5 as normal. Thought I'd shoot her a message and check. She phoned back. Hey, I said I don't do messages. I like to be able to shout. She grinned scarily. I don't know how I knew that through the phone. There wasn't any funny business last night, right? After you got home? I thought it would be best not to bring up the King in Yellow, Nikita, or any other events from last night. No, it was fine, basically. Fine, basically. You don't sound so sure, Trixie. No, I'm okay. I just, I spilt juice on myself and got sticky. It was wild, a real tragedy. I'm really clean now, though, like a baby. Like a baby? I don't know what that even meant. Sounds terrible. Hope you're doing okay now, though. I'm glad my anxiety of using phones was overriding my fear. I didn't want to put all that shit with Nikita on Heidi, not when we were already dealing with a matted figure. I'm fine. I'll come down at like 4-ish, yeah? Sure. I'll just be using a broom to get the crow that lives in the vending machine out all afternoon. I've been pretty loud recently, and I'm sick of it. See you later, bitch. What's that about Crow? The line went dead. I fucked about online for a while, desperate not to think too hard about last night. Eventually ended up at Heidi's. There are a lot of black feathers lying around. The signs of an ancient battle between crow and hyena. Hey Trixie, you got here just in time to help me clean up the remains of the cozy calm crow. Not that the name suited them, the violent fucker. She nursed some peck marks on her face. Wait, remains? You didn't kill them, right? Heidi flashed her teeth at me. No, of course not. We just had a disagreement and they got their feathers all ruffled. They're meant to be shop security. I don't let them eat vending machine snacks all day in return for nothing. They weren't exactly much help last night. Oh, that's right! Birds and bees also sapient, but not sheep. So there are insects in this world. Just not moths that I've seen. Maybe our neighbor's a moth. They can move back in once they promise to peck the eyes out of my enemies. Come on, help me clean this up. I spent the next half hour picking up an entire bird's worth of feathers. The cozy calm crow was lucky it was so warm out. Nice work, Trixie. Ready to do some actual work now? Yeah, I guess. More sorting through ancient treasures? Already junk would be more accurate. None of this shit is actually real, remember? I hoped for Heidi's sake this stuff wasn't real, but after reading The King in Yellow, I wasn't sure I believed her. So, about last night? Huh? I'm kind of thinking it was a one-off. You gave that creep a pretty nasty seeing, too, with the taser, right? I don't think we have to worry about them. You just kind of freaked out last night and got worked up. Warudo was probably just some junkie, you know? We can keep an eye out, but I think we're fine. I wasn't entirely sure I believed that, but I trusted Heidi's judgment. She'd been in this business longer than me. Sure, that makes sense, I guess. I still couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the matted figure than just a weirdo and drugs. Come on, Trixie, let's get to work. We got sorting. I remain amazed by quite how much stuff Heidi had hoarded. But if she could sell each thing for as much as the matted figure had handed me yesterday, I didn't blame her. Where do you actually get this stuff from? Magic car boot sale? I have a supplier, a secret one. You won't meet them. I buy crap from them, and then I sell it on. Think of them like a weirdo wholesaler. I considered asking if Heidi could get a hold of some kind of Nikita calming amulet, but decided I didn't want to go into all of that. We sorted for a while. Heidi kept checking the time. I think she could tell I noticed, and felt the need to explain. I have moonbeam business to attend to tonight. Some loser wants a book called Where the Strange Things Are by Ilaria Devanin. Some crap. Okay, that one's Greg. Moonbeam business. Are you sure that's a good idea after last night? I'll be fine. I can look after myself. Bad timing, really. Belle's been trying to get me to the bar tonight. She seems pretty desperate for contact whenever I've seen her recently. I told her I have to go apologize to the CEO of Crowbar Inc. after sending the corporation some arson threats. She believed it. That's an interesting lie. Hey, that was all true except the bit about the apology. The corporation took out a restraining order on me instead. I just need an excuse to not be able to go out tonight, you know? As we sorted through Heidi's stock, I noticed her mask on the desk. When I'd seen it before, I hadn't thought much of it. Perhaps the alcohol had distracted me, but looking at it now... The mask was faintly ominous. The fur on the back of the neck stood on end, and memories of a masquerade in the Imperial Palace floated through my mind. Memories of Casilda. Where'd you get that mask from, Heidi? It looks really expensive. Heidi looks at me quizzically. No, I made it myself in an afternoon. Smashed up some plates, glued it to an old mask for my theater days, and sprinkled some sequins on it. Looks fucking stupid, sure, but at night with a hood on, it's vaguely spooky. And it stops the kind of weirdos who buy stuff from recognizing me, so it does the job fine. Oh. I wasn't sure I believed that. I could see the guilt on Heidi's face. She was lying. I didn't want to push her on it, but something about that mask remained deeply troubling. For in its ruby eye, I could see 1,000 reflections of Carcosa. Heidi's phone rang. She pushed me out of the office and into the shop. Sorry, Trixie, secret phone call. Door slammed behind me. I tapped my fingers on the desk until Heidi re-emerged a few minutes later. Okay, so my supplier is totally fucking me. Okay, good for you. Not like that. They've rescheduled our meeting again. I need to go meet them tonight, but I already have that other meeting to attend to. What? Are you sure this isn't like a trick? No, my supplier is just useless. Such a floozy. Look, would you be okay with, like, going out and making the sale for me? And I meet the supplier instead. Last time I tried to make a sale for you, it didn't go so great. My supplier's very secretive. They wouldn't show if I wasn't there. Look, I feel bad asking you to do this after last night, but it'd be really hard to rearrange meeting my supplier. I'll give you the taser and bat. If anything seems off, you just get out of there, right? Sure, it's okay though. I'm sure I'll be fine. You showed that weirdo who's boss when you broke their arm and set fire to them, right? They won't fuck with Delilah Moonbeam again. I waited in the same spot as yesterday, shivering in the cool night air as I held another wrapped book in my hands. I quickly checked my phone, which I'll admit broke character a little. Whoever I was meeting was late. I was considering leaving when a shadow appeared at the end of the alleyway. It's them! Here they are! They clearly weren't the figure from yesterday. They were probably about half their height and wore a cardboard box on the head with what I hazard to call a scary face drawn on it. 2 nights in a row? Yeah. They're such a square. Greg is darling, the best. They approached me nervously. Hello, I am Delilah Moonbeam. Whoa! Ah! I screamed as the disguised figure leapt at me, taking me by surprise. I fell against the cold floor and blacked out. Must have woken up a few minutes later. Fortunately, I didn't seem too badly hurt. In fact, I'm pretty certain I just fell asleep because I was tired. Delilah's was surprisingly pillow light. The alley was deserted, but the book was gone. I knew it must have been some kind of lackey for the matted figure. Who knew how many more were out there that might try to hurt me? I had to get back to Heidi now. I could only hope she was already back from her meeting. I sprinted through the dark streets. They seemed deserted until I ran up against a group of cloak-wearing strangers, their dark hoods hiding their faces. I screamed. They had been sent by the matted figure. I knew it. I shoved one of them, my weak little arms doing little to push them. I turned and fled the way I came. I need to take a longer route, shake them off my tail. It was a long while before I realized I wasn't being pursued. I kept running anyway. I have no idea how. Usually my legs stop working after about 5 meters. But not this time. I was terrified. I just needed to get back. I burst through the shop door. Heidi was already there, replacing the use-by dates on some tinned food with new stickers. Heidi! Jeez, Trixie, are you okay? Where were you? You should have been back ages ago. I, had to catch my breath. I was chased. I had to lose the chasers. You were... What? Trixie, what happened? Look, just go get changed. I'll keep an eye out. I shakily got out of the outfit in the office and returned to Heidi, somewhat calmer. I was attacked again. The person I met, they jumped me. They must have been sent by our new friend. He's gonna stop sending you out there. I know. Let me send the smallest, weakest rat I've ever seen to go do a shady deal in a back alley for me. Jeez. Heidi paced around the room, stopping briefly to beat up a box of pineapple Snapples out of sheer anger. And you're sure it was them? Or one of their helpers or whatever? I only now consider there wasn't exactly any proof it was one of the matted figure's helpers. Well, no, I'm not sure. I would not send you anywhere. I would protect you at all costs. The only way you're going into a back alley is if you're on the end of a lead. I just assumed. I mean, has this happened before? Never twice in a row. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that one. I'll send Sin to sell my spooky books. No, I'll sell those spooky books myself, but I'll keep you safe if you come with me. You're right, this is too weird. It must be related. Fuck's sake. She continued pacing. I was too shaken to speak. Getting out of hand. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Right, I'm gonna implement Eclipse Contingency. I'm torching any crap that doesn't look valuable and moving the rest somewhere safe so I can lay low. I noticed Heidi seems to use anything as an excuse to torch stuff. You'll bark at any would-be attackers? Aw, yes you will. You're such a intimidating presence. Pack up this junk and burn it tomorrow. Wanna look back to your place again? I did. I need to get some sleep. I should have started doing something about Nikita, but I was way too tired. Hopefully my exhaustion would stop me from thinking too hard about the matted figure and the king in yellow. At night I dreamt of the basement in Daffodil Lane. I was crumpled on the floor, blood stained the fur on my side and covered my hands. Through blurry eyes I could make out Nikita. She was saying something to me, but her voice was too muffled and distorted to make out. She seemed smug, so no change there. After a seemingly endless monologue, she threw her hands skywards, and with a flash of white light and a splash of cold cloud spray, a white gate opened at the far end of the room. The white gate to Carcosa. I shivered as the chill rolled off Lake Holly. After giving me a last pitiful look, Nikita stepped through the gate, leaving me alone in the cold basement. For a moment, nothing happened. Strange calm came over me. This wonderful solitude was cut short. For from the white gate emerged the cloaked visage of the king in yellow. Their tattered rags billowed in the increasing wind, floating like tentacles from some terrible deep-sea creature. They stared ahead before peering down at me with a slow turn of their head. Looking right at me, right into me. Blacked out, and when I woke I found myself elsewhere. Me and Heidi were hiding in her shop. I wasn't sure why at first, but as I peeked above one of the displays, I saw objects shift and move about the room, golden mist surrounding them. On the floor lay what seemed to be a cloaked corpse. It took me a moment to recognize the shape of the matted figure. I ducked as a wrench was tossed through the air towards me by the malevolent force that had taken over the shop. I went to say something to Heidi, but before I could open my mouth, she was yanked from her hiding place by some unseen hand and pulled into the shop. I yelled and foolishly ran out of my hiding place, straight into the matted figure. I turned and ran. The figure took chase. I could hear them crash through the shop behind me. I yelled. My foot tripped on a pile of crowbars. I fell to the floor with a horrible crunch as the figure's dark shadow bore over me. I plunged back into consciousness and awoke, screaming and shaking. My eyes darted around my room. I was alone. Everything was as it should be. I was as exhausted as ever, as was my life now. After last night's dream, I was more intent than ever to simply let my problems slip from my mind. I was about to message Heidi, but remembered she would probably prefer I called, so she could yell at me if she felt like it. What's up, Trixie? Hey, I was wondering if you wanted me to come down today and give you a hand? You're burning stuff, right? I like burning things a lot, so I'm definitely qualified for that role. Sorry to disappoint you, little Miss Arsonist, but I'm putting off Eclipse Contingency for a day. I got a court appearance to deal with the whole arson threat thing I did, which I guess makes me Little Miss Arsonist. Don't tell anyone I called myself Little Miss. I have a taser. Oh no, that's a pain. Oh no, that's a pain. I'm sorry, it took me a minute to realize I was supposed to be sympathy. Well, have fun with that, I guess. Will do. You take care, okay? Oh, but... Oh. She'd hung up early, again. I sighed. With nothing to distract me, there was nothing else for it. I'd have to face up to Nikita. Right on cue, there was a knock on my door. Trixie, Glimmer, Smith, open up. I gulped. just what I needed. She was knocking pretty loud. Maybe she was planning to break in and kill me with whatever weapon she got in the hold of today. I knew the knocking would attract unwanted attention if it continued. I couldn't bring more people into this mess. Nikita was my problem to deal with. I opened the door, accepting my fate. Trixie, have you seen my cardigan anywhere? As much as I loathe to admit it, you've been to Daffodil Lane, haven't you, Nikita? As much as I loathe to admit it to you, I seem to have lost it. I could tell she had. She kept sniffing as if she was dealing with some allergies. Something seemed to click on her. As if she only just remembered what she'd been doing all night. She had totally forgotten about our fight. Well, you might think that, but I couldn't possibly comment. Think you're pretty smart, don't you, Trixie? But no, I wasn't there, idiot. Look, Nikita, I'm going to stop you. I won't let you hurt yourself, and more importantly, possibly me. Oh, Trixie, you're far too late for that. I already have the exact position of the intersection between our world and the White Gate. The book Reaching Other Worlds was most illuminating. The midpoint between the 3 standing stones in this county. The cottage on Daffodil Lane. I need to only bide my time and wait. And then the throne will be mine. Wait for what? Silence, wretch. I've already said too much. Suffice to say, my ideals have been vindicated. While you gawped at ghost hentai, I studied in the library. Your fate is of your own making, Trixie. Maybe you should just accept that I've won. I'll sit on the throne, not you. But I don't want to sit on the throne? Nikita, you need to... You're not making sense. Silence, you read what I have. You know what I speak is gospel, and the throne is mine. She took off, running back to wherever she came from. Not being hugely athletic, she seemed to run out of breath before the end of the hallway, where she slinked off, panting. At least this had confirmed it. Nikita had a plan. I sighed, realizing it was up to me to stop her. What was it Nikita had said about Daffodil Lane? It sat in the midpoint of the 3 standing stones. Was that true? It didn't sound at all right. I checked out the map on my wall. Nikita was right. The cottage on Daffodil Lane, the place this all started, was at the direct center. Wait, Nikita was right this time. Last time Nikita was super wrong. Nikita was right. The cottage on Daffodil Lane, the place this had all started, was at the direct center of the standing stones. More or less, anyway. Maybe if you accounted for tectonic movement and stuff. But it was close enough. I gasped. Nikita was right. She needed only wait, and... Wait, and what? I realized I had no idea what she planned to do with this information. She had mentioned the library. Of course, Nikita was always in the library. That was no surprise, but perhaps there was a way to stop her hidden in its thousands of books. It might be my only chance. I had to read books. Or straight to the library. There was no time to lose. It always shut early on a weekend. I quickly went through the shelves I thought might be relevant. Myths, local history, literature. I wanted to find a book Nikita had mentioned, Reaching Other Worlds. Never heard of it before, but it sounded like it would be of use to me too. Reaching another world was Nikita's aim, after all. I found the shelf it should have been on, and there was nothing. Nikita must have come here first and taken it, so I couldn't find out how to stop her. I panicked, as if she was actively trying to stop me. There was nothing. If she was actively trying to stop me, there was nothing I could do. Nikita was smarter than me, and driven like one possessed by her obsession with that cursed play. My eyes remained locked on the spot the book should have been, and I felt my body grow numb. Was I too late? I could see her even now in my thoughts, the book ablaze as Nikita continued with her evil plotting. The gnarled hand of the king guiding her to the decaying imperial palace of Carcosa and the broken throne. I realized I was crying, and then I realized I was looking directly at the book. It was 3 places over from where it should have been. It must have been misplaced by an uncaring student or a busy librarian. Trembling, I reached for the book and softly caressed its spine. Real. I took it from the shelf and wiped the tears from my face, ashamed. Glancing at the great clock at the entrance, I realized I had stood in the same spot for close to an hour. Something was horribly wrong with me. I dropped my collection down on a secluded desk. Half of the stuff didn't seem all that relevant, but it was better to be thorough. I thought I better skim the books and work out which I had time for before I actually started reading. I wouldn't have time for all of them. I checked the clock. There were about 5 hours left until the librarians would kick me out. By the way, I was wrong earlier. None of these are about her report topic. I was thinking of this one, The Great Crusade, 1120 to 1123. Oh my goodness, Tashemi, hello. How are you doing? How was Zelda? Welcome in. I'm Ali. I play a lot of indie and retro games. This time I've been doing a lot of indie games. I'm on an itch.io kick. This is the testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. It's the first visual novel I'm doing. How is your Zelda? I've never seen that before. Also, of course, take care of yourself if you need to. Make sure you get a drink or food or sleep or whatever it is you need to do. Ancient stone tablets. BS Zelda from 95. I see. Story time with Ali. Please relax with a nice cup of tea. I'm gonna have to wind down the story time soon, unfortunately. Reaching Other Worlds seemed to be based on the Dark Age grimoire written by a bird scholar at the tail end of the age. Heidi seems set on reaching Carcosa. Thought this might help me understand if that was possible, or how she planned on achieving it. It was short. It would only take an hour to read. It's like the most important book, right? But we didn't have the prep work this time. Endless worlds weave and twist through reality, unreality, and the forbidden places between. Only at the points where these strings draw close can one pass through to the other side. A powerful psychic beacon is required to pull the two worlds taut and intertwine them for long enough for a crossing. Bleakwind Spire is said to be the brightest of these beacons, at least in our world, but in its current ruined state is useless. Carrion crows of the Blackwood of Brennenburg use their own natural psychic influence to shield themselves from the horrors of the Brennenburg succession wars. For the Planewalkers of Abinth, in the ancient times, powerful psychic crystals were most commonly used in pairs. This is the important bit. Singularly, they could bind the worlds, but when paired, they would nullify each other, preventing others from traveling to or from the area. This is how the Court of Despair remained hidden forever in their Cathedral of Teeth. It was an interesting read, but not entirely useful. No! As far as I was aware, I had no psychic powers, and I certainly had no psychic crystals. Though on the plus side, neither did Nikita. Only Tabby did, and there was no way she would give Nikita any, whether they were real or not. I sighed. Was there time to read anything else? We read most of these last time. This one was 3 hours long. I think this is the one we didn't read. A pretty poor translation in the original text was near incomprehensible to begin with, so despite its short length, reading this would take about 3 hours. We'll read the Wilhelm notes. It began when I read a small number of the first chapter, The Order of Mercy, that cursed chapel outside Bluefields Town. In the ensuing fight, Against the cultists of the Yellow Eye, I was wounded, a pitchfork to my side. I stumbled away from the battle, blood staining my purple robes a dark brown, and found myself facing one of the site's many altars. Emblazoned on it, the yellow sign. As I left consciousness, the yellow sign still staring into me, I slipped into somewhere dark. When I first saw Carcosa in its rotting state, I knew I had glimpsed an unimaginable terror. I walked the streets of that city for decades, centuries even, from the top of the Imperial Palace to the deepest depths of the Twilight Quarter, where abominations long forgotten crumble to dust underneath the perpetual darkness of Lake Holly. It was a city drenched in evil. And at last I returned to consciousness. I awoke in a pile of bodies, and presumed dead, I dragged myself away from this terrible place. I made my escape into the woods. I would later return with the 4th chapter, the Order of Retribution and Purification, and burn alive each of the cultists. I foolishly believed that this would end the whispers in my head. Still they continued. Dismayed, I returned to my home and inflicted punishment on myself for this heresy. Damn. But when the voices remained, I gave in to my weakness and listened. I finally realized what was being whispered to me. It was filled with a manic intent to lay it into parchment. The words flowed into my mind and onto the page. For 3 days, I wrote without rest, food, or breath. When finally the manuscript was completed, I bound it in preserved snakeskin, the only remains of that ancient people. I looked upon my work, seeing it with my own eyes for the first time. I had written The King in Yellow. Later, a gift was presented to me. The Mask of the Pale Servant, one eye looking out into the future and the other blinded by the first ruby to be mined from the quarry that would become the Twilight Quarter, and forced only to remember the past. A white, china-like mask, inlaid with gold, mined from the great moon of Carcosa. It was terrible to behold, for I knew who had delivered it to me. Whispers from the king tell me that they who possess the mask are blessed to walk his path and claim the broken throne for themselves. The mask was lost to me, stolen. Mercy on the wretch who finds it. I thought of Heidi's mask. I would need to see it in person again to be sure, but the description was certainly familiar. The mask is part of the costume, yeah. If we steal Heidi's mask, maybe we can still... Aw, sweetheart. No, you're working. You're distracted, it's okay. Two hours to read? We don't have time for that. And also, I think we read all of this last time. Distracted sleeping, apparently. That too. Brief rundown of some local folklore. An hour to read. We read this last time, so I'm not going to read it again. But we'll read it in character. Right, this is about Ovington and the Dark Age, and how they got through it. Mr. Springy. Mr. Springy, sorry. I realized I'd run out of time. I quickly put the books away and left. I ended up back in my room. I just needed to sleep. This week was killing me. When was the last time I had slept properly? I'm going to have some noodles to eat, but I couldn't get the packet open without scissors thanks to my weak little arms. I had no idea where my scissors had gone. I probably put them in my bag and lost them while I was walking about or something. In the end, I had to just eat crisps. This week was really taking its toll on my diet. She didn't even get the vegetable roll this time. I needed time to digest what I had read. I was too tired to do anything practical to deal with Nikita tonight. No doubt she was slinking around the university or holed up in her room plotting. Tonight, there were no dreams. There was only darkness. I woke up as tired as ever. I wanted to check the internet for news, convinced I'd find a photograph of a disheveled Nikita being bundled into a police van after committing some atrocity in the name of the broken throne. Before I could switch my laptop on, something strange caught my eye. On my bedroom wall was a scribbled pencil drawing of what seemed to be Nikita. Above her, 2 floating skulls surrounded by a cloud. Had I drawn this? My room didn't look like it had been broken into, and why was my... And it was my art style, not that I have one. I realized I was getting dangerously unhinged. I had to stop Nikita. Only then could I start to recover. Fortunately, it looked like Nikita hadn't been arrested for any terrible crimes. Unfortunately, this meant that she was still my problem alone. Yesterday, Nikita had, well, not admitted to being at Daffodil Lane, but it was fairly obvious she had been. I was pretty sure she wanted to open a portal to the White Gate of Holly in that cursed basement. I needed to know if she had done anything there. Maybe I could find a way to stop her. I ate some sugar flakes and got ready for another long walk to Daffodil Lane. I arrived at Daffodil Lane only to be greeted by a loud caw, that mangy magpie again. Caw sounded like it came from near the creepy cottage, as if it was calling for me. I tried to spot the magpie, but they are nowhere to be seen. Hi, Trixie. Fuck. I spun around and screamed. Directly behind me, less than half a meter away, stood Parsnip. Oh no, please, no bad words. This is a no bully zone. Sorry, Parsnip, you just scared me is all. I didn't expect you to be stood directly behind me like that. No one ever does. I'm very quiet. Did the music shift like this the last time? I don't think it did. I couldn't help but feel slightly creeped out by that. I turned around to look for the magpie. I was sure I could feel their beady white eyes locked on me. They were nowhere to be seen. Reluctantly, I turned back to Parsnip, who was grinning excitedly, and I noticed he had a picnic basket with him. What's the picnic stuff for? I'm having a picnic. Wanna come, friend? I was kinda hungry, but I felt like I should probably get on with stopping Nikita. I'll hang out for a little while. Yeah, I guess I can hang out for a little while. Wow, I'm so excited. Let's go ask Rosie if she would like to come too. Okay, can't be too long though. All day picnic, all day picnic. He skipped off to La Rose's cottage. I started to regret agreeing to this, but followed along behind him. I eventually caught up to Parsnip. He was knocking at La Rose's door and bouncing excitedly. I saw La Rose peering out the window between a crack in the curtains before receding back into the darkness of her cottage. I got the impression she didn't want to be involved. Not hugely surprising, given Parsnip's apparent break-in. I don't think La Rose is home, Parsnip. Maybe we should get going. There's a crash from inside. Fuck's sake. Fucking... Nope, not this time. I heard the distinctive sound of an easel being snapped in half. I think it was an easel being snapped in half. I'm not sure what gave me that impression. You're right, I don't think she's in. I was starting to doubt how much Parsnip existed in our plane of reality. I guess it's just you and me, friend. He pulled a friendship yarn out of his bag and waved it at me. You still have yours, right? Right? I rummaged through my stuff and pulled out the yarn. It was slightly worse from wear after a few days in my bag, but Parsnip's face lit up nevertheless when I gently wiggled it. I'd never throw away this present. Yay, oh yay, what a great friendship. I was glad to have diffused the situation. I didn't want to get on Parsnip's bad side. He seemed slightly unstable. Let's get on with our picnic. Follow me to the wheat field, friend. Wheat field wasn't a great spot, given the wheat hadn't been cut, but it was at least somewhat shady in between the crops. Parsnip had giggled as he trampled through the field to the picnic. He seemed to find running through the field of wheat strangely naughty. Though part of me thought the devious giggling and secluded stop may have just been because I was about to get murdered. I quickly shook those thoughts off, intent on trying my best to have a nice time. Parsnip started to unpack his picnic hamper. I have to admit, I was slightly dreading what he might pull out. To my surprise, what he did get out looked pretty good. A tray of cupcakes, each decorated with different colored icing and sprinkles. A few even had chocolate chips and flakes in them. Things were looking up. He got a pitcher of water out of the basket. Somehow it hadn't spilled inside despite being sideways and having no lid, possibly defying the laws of physics. He poured the water into a pair of plastic cups and handed me a red one. Thanked him and took a sip. Water was surprisingly nice and very cold. I thought this might turn out to be nice after all. I thought I'd soon come to regret. At this point, Parsnip got a bag of Sugar Daddy icing sugar out of his hamper and poured a good 100 grams into its cup. Sugar partially dissolved into the water, but most of it settled at the bottom of the cup. I grimaced at the thought of drinking it. Would you like some sugar? No, that's okay, Parsnip. Thanks for the offer. Then try some cake. I looked at the cupcakes. They were about 10 on a shared plate. They had different colored icing and decorations. They looked pretty nice, if a little sickly. That said, something about them felt off. We ate some. I want to see her reaction to the cakes this time. I cautiously picked up a small cupcake. On the surface it looked fine, but something about it felt off. Parsnip didn't seem like the kind of person who would make a good baker. Regardless, it was too late now. Parsnip was looking at me expectantly with his big pleading eyes. He was clearly proud of his work, and I felt a little bad at the thought of disappointing him. I took a small bite of the cupcake, and the sponge crumbled like ash in my mouth. Sugar crawled down my throat, threatening to choke me. The taste of decay filled my mouth and I gagged. I swirled the liquid around in my mouth and spat it out, gasping for air. Had I imagined that? Could the cake really have been that bad? Parsnip stared at me, unblinking, his smile completely unchanged. We both sat in silence for a moment while I regained my breath. So, did you like it? I said no. Sorry, Parsnip, it was really bad. Great, have a taste of the rest. I worked really hard. I watched Parsnip start to nibble tiny bits off the other cakes, and then put them back on the shared plate. He didn't seem to have taken in anything I said. He would cycle through the cakes, eating only little bits of each at a time. Occasionally, he would take a sip of sugar water by clumsily holding the plastic cup between his big paws, usually spilling some of the sticky water on himself. He didn't seem to mind. Parsnip cooks as well as you do? No, you must cook better. I watched Parsnip nibble on his food in silence until he finished, at which point he fell over backwards asleep. Something was bothering me about Parsnip. He felt fundamentally wrong. Thought about the hideous food. Surely it was not of this world. The rabbit's strange mannerisms and aura filled me with discomfort. I remembered when I first met Parsnip. He appeared from nowhere, as if summoned to me from the void. That's not with the king in yellow. There had been no denial, merely a gleeful cry of, "Wow, I love yellow. Oh wow, it's my favorite color." I broke out into a sweat. A confession. I knew it. I'd been being toyed with all along. That cursed string Parsnip had given me all those days ago. I pulled it out of my bag and threaded it through itself, an intricate but all too familiar shape. The yellow sign. It was a gift to me from the king, or perhaps a warning or a curse. I'll see if I dare. I shuddered in fear and quickly pushed the terrible sign back into my bag. I'd have to think about this further. I buried my thoughts into my mind. Snuck away, only to run straight until a rose. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with everyone. I forgot that there was like another day to this thing. I thought I was really close to the end. I think I am gonna have to pick this up next time. Because we're bushing Parsnip this time. Getting so good though. I know. I'm sorry.